All right. So the I want to start this podcast tonight with one of my pet peeves, right? Is you get into a meeting and first and foremost, what does the host always say? Can you please mute yourselves if you're not talking? And always there is one asshole who doesn't do it, and you have to just be like, "Hey, mute your phone." And then they sit there and stare at the screen like they already muted their phone. Like they're just staring, like you're looking at them. Like we're making eye contact virtually, and I am saying all kinds of curse words. But yeah, it's unmuted, and they always have background noise. But anyway, the topic tonight is virtual nightmares.
So wait, you said you tell them mute your mic. I just mute them. Like if I go in a meet in a Teams, Skype, whatever else we've used, and I see that you're not muted and you are not the host, I'm muting you because I want to spare you the embarrassment of saying something dumb or us hearing something stupid come across your microphone. Like I'm gonna look out for you. I'm that coworker. I'm gonna look out for you and just mute.
I have a funny comment because you know that I'm going to say this is something that I think Mama Mel would do. Is you would just talk about doing things with oomph and like doing it like you know, and I bet you Mel's in there going, "I told you to mute," and mutes them so hard and
With
proud
emphasis.
of it. Yeah, emphasis.
Well, I look at this whole situation like a good lawsuit. No one's 100% liable. There's liability on both sides. The question is what percentage? Because when you created that Teams meeting, there is an option to mute all participants
That's true.
when they enter the meeting. Why we don't use this? You are just asking for it, and then you want to be shocked when you hear something. That's my devil's advocate.
That's actually true. That's true. So so you're saying a little bit can fall on the meeting host.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Learn to use Teams.
Teams or Zoom.
What if it's meant to be an interactive meeting? I mean, think about like the trainings and new hire orientations okay, so hold on, let me backtrack. Think about when we first went virtual, and I'm talking specifically COVID times. We first went virtual. My sisters are all educators, and it was really tough to learn the mute and unmute, and Teams was what everybody was using then, and it was difficult to learn it. And you've got like 3-year-olds and like maybe not 3, 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, right? That don't know how to do this and mute, right? But like for us adults, specifically in HR, we do a lot of interactive meetings. It's very rare that we sit there and just, we're going to talk and you're going to listen. So I've really never felt the need to just mute all. Although now that I think about it and I see both sides, I'm like, maybe I should mute some.
So there's a couple of things that come to mind as you say that. One is there is the person who is technology challenged, right? Like they don't. No. I mean, Mel, you could get through a Teams meeting. All I'm saying is sometimes they're like, "Is this thing on? Did I click the button?" we're mid meeting, and they're like, "Hello, can you guys hear me?" Oh my god, that person drives me crazy because they don't know what they're doing on Teams or Zoom or whatever, and it drives me nuts. So there's the person who does that, and then I absolutely hate with I want a virtual throat punch this person. You're late to the meeting. You're late. Like you're late. You can clearly see people are already presenting or talking, and the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, "Guys, I'm sorry I'm late. Guys, I'm sorry. I know the meeting started. My apologies. I'm late." Why are you announcing it? everybody's already taken note that you've arrived 15 to 20 minutes late. You don't have to announce it. So anyway, that person
It's
I
in
want to just
chat.
grab.
It shows in chat.
Yeah.
Jeffrey
Yes.
just joined.
Yes, or the ding. That was my favorite. Was whenever the whole entire group would hear, ding ding, Chad has entered the room, and I'm like,
Once again, a function that can be turned off.
yes, but you know that there's people who are just petty betties that want to hear the people that are late, and I am so sorry to say that I am that petty betty that wants people to be announced that hey. You knew you were supposed to be here 15 minutes ago, but you know what? You decided to go get some more coffee and talk to Jill over at the coffee pot first.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, I have a really great example that kind of ties in with Big Llama's pet peeve. I was joining a call with a very large organization. When I say very large, I mean this call had over 10,000 people joining in. Okay. I'm like in there and you just see the numbers climbing and all you hear is this person's name that highlights on the screen. And they're like, I ain't got time for this bullshit.
Oh no.
That's my kind of person.
Oh,
I don't think
God.
there wasn't a VP or a senior VP or an executive VP. The COO was on the call. The CFO was on the call for multiple countries. Oh, yeah, they didn't have a job after that day. They disappeared after that
you're
day.
done.
I
You're
wonder
done.
why.
How do you
I wonder
come back
why.
from that?
I'm like,
Usually
yeah.
it's that wasn't me. That's usually what
But-
they would say. That wasn't me.
but that's what brings me back to that. We all assume everyone has that maturity to join in and hit mute because we don't want to lose our jobs. I think there's liability, majority on the people joining in. But if you're scheduling a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting, please go set those settings up to automatically mute and let them unmute when they're ready to participate.
No, just you're losing the fun at that point.
You'll save jobs. You'll save jobs.
So I guess what I will do is I'll throw us into the next part if you're cool with that, Big Llama.
Go ahead.
Have you ever been to a virtual party that you were forced to go to and had to have pleasantries said to someone? I see Mama
Wait,
Mel has
okay.
something. Tell us, Mama Mel.
Hold on, because I wasn't done with the last one. I had one more thing that I wanted to announce.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Well,
The person that walks in, the person that you want to throat punch, Llama, is the person to me that's like, excuse me, is this being recorded?
Yes. That's that person. Yes.
Instant throat punch.
What about the ones that are like, wait, is this recording going to be sent to all of us?
Yeah,
Oh,
because you know
both of
what
those.
happens after that. You tune out, and then you're multitasking and you're doing other things because it's gonna be sent out to us anyway. Like I can listen to it later, which 90% of the time does not happen. You don't listen to it. You just did they talk about that in the meeting?
Right.
Did we have
right.
that deliverable? When did they talk about that meeting that you tuned out of because it was going to be sent out?
So with etiquette and with other things, there's what we're going to talk about is Dr. Green's topic of the forced virtual parties. Hey, we have to go and say pleasantries to so and so, and yeah, like what it's to me, I don't know. Tonight, okay, so it's virtual nightmares, but I'm feeling like violence tonight. I don't know why. My apologies to the podcast audience. I'm feeling very, very spicy
Shows
on this.
violence today.
But like things like this is why I love this topic. Is it just infuriates me. There's not much that gets me going, but this topic here makes me want to punch things. So anyway, so yeah,
tell us
virtual
how
parties.
you really feel.
Yeah.
Llama woke up and chose violence today. I'm so proud of you, Big Llama.
But think about it. Before we had this virtual world to some of our listeners may not be new. To
Right.
to me, it is fairly newer. I was introduced to the virtual world during the COVID times. I mean, obviously before that, you had like Skype or like I can't remember what other like I want to say like Yahoo Messenger, like the old AOL Messenger. Like, did you guys ever get
AOL
that?
chat. AOL
AOL
chat.
Don't
Show
chat.
your
shut your
age.
mouth.
Show your age.
Don't show our ages. Oh God,
Welcome.
you've got mail.
Do you
We're
remember on
old.
Yahoo
Again, our
Messenger you would
demographics dipped
you
again.
Please don't sue us for saying you've got mail.
bleep
It's
that
not in the disclaimer.
You could
So-
nudge someone on Messenger was my favorite thing to do. Like you
Oh,
would
yeah.
do you remember you'd nudge them and their entire screen would shake? I'd be nudging everybody.
You were
Yeah.
that person.
I wish we could go back to our MySpace days where like people that we don't like on teams we can now take out of our top 5.
Oh,
Exactly.
that I
Yes.
would get
Oh.
so butthurt if somebody took me out of their top 5. I'd be like, okay, you're out of mine.
See, mine was the back of the MySpace page. You know, like the background
Oh,
was the
you're
Matrix. The Matrix green letters going down, and it was
why did
Clay
that not
Walker.
surprise me?
It was Clay Walker for the country music singer Fall. And that was my song, and and at that time, back before MySpace started getting really like downhill, they had this mystery box that a person would answer any question that you wanted them to answer, and random people that were on your friends would answer it for you, and you would never know who they were. But it was like called mystery box or mystery answer or whatever it was. I don't know if y'all remember that, but it was really cool to people like, oh, I hated you, or oh man, you were just so good looking in high school and all sorts of stuff.
Oh,
Was
we need that in
like
HR.
like a suggestion box.
Like a
Like a-
suggestion
but-
box, but for like real life. Like, hey, I really wish you would tell Karen to hush during all these meetings. Tell her to quit asking questions. Karen needs to be smacked.
Oh God!
Make sure
Listen, I'm
that-
typing something right now. That just you keep going talking about these force, but now
Make
you've
sure
you've got.
the-
Oh no!
Oh,
Violence.
come on, Big Llama, tell us.
No, the person that
Well-
asked the fucking question at the end of the meeting, like the meeting is
Oh!
over. It's 5 something, and like we're like all ready to walk out the door, and the one person's like, "I have one more question." And instead of a
Oh.
question, it's a fucking it's a phrase. It's a statement of their story, and then the question, which provokes and prompts many other questions, and then the meeting goes on for another 30-40 minutes.
Yes, because
That
they
person.
forget. Like Dory the
Oh.
fish, they forget
Oh my God.
as they're
That's the
asking the
worst.
first question.
Don't
10
ask the
questions
questions
later,
already
you're
been
like,
asked.
wait, what's the first one? What was the first? Somebody give me the first answer, not the one I need 10 answers later.
You in the call and you're like, wait, what was today's topic about?
Honestly.
Was this
You're
recorded?
like, wait, what?
Was this
Can I get
recorded so I
this
can
Are
go
you
back?
gonna send this to me?
You know what? We should do an episode on the things we wish we could say during
should
conference
go.
calls.
That'd
That'll be a
be
part 2 to this one.
shut up. Just shut up, Karen. Shut up.
But you know
No
what
more
it is?
questions for you.
A future episode will be what you actually say and what you meant. Right? Like,
What you want to say at those forced virtual birthday parties? I hate you the least.
So I'll kick back into that because I want to poke on that for a minute. And the only reason why I want to poke on it for a minute because I'd never actually ever attended one until about a couple of years ago. And it was so interesting because I was forced to first I got offended because I wasn't invited to one. And I was like, well, damn, like I'm the man of the hour at least 90% of the time. So shit, like invite me. But no, they didn't. So then somebody had made a comment to the person who was always sending out those stupid invitations to, oh, well, you didn't invite Chad. Why didn't you invite Chad? Well, then boom, they invite me. And then I was like,
Careful what you
well, hey,
wish
well,
for.
why didn't you invite, and I'm being hypothetical, but why didn't you invite Jake from HR or Mama Mel or the Big Llama? Well, then boom, they start getting invitations, and now they're mad at me because they're getting invitations.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
now we're all forced to be in this virtual happy birthday thing, and we have to talk about how great this person was.
Yes.
And the part that pissed me off the most was I'm being polite. I'm being so polite. And I'm like, you know what? You're such a wonderful person. I've learned so much from you. You know, especially if there's somebody who's higher than you have to kiss a little booty. And you know you do. If you're in any type of growing position, you have to kiss a
Yeah.
little ass. That's just the way it is. That's the way the world works. You want to raise, kiss some ass. You know, so outside of that, you have this one person who just doesn't give two flying for anything. It will say, I'm glad you're alive. And
So
I'm
glad to be here.
good. I just, I'm glad to be here, buddy. Thank you for inviting me. And like, that's it. And you're like, and you know, because that person doesn't like that person, that you're just
Right.
like,
Then you know there's beef. Then you can
now you know
connect to
there's
the
beef. And you're like,
Yeah. Or you figure out who was invited but didn't show up. Then you know
"Oh,
there's beef
that's it."
too. You're like, why
Yes.
isn't ooh.
Maybe they
And
had
then
an
there's-
HR emergency.
Hold on. Yeah, I was gonna say hold on because that happened to me.
I was like,
That
that happened to
me.
Mama Mel. I remember that.
I was
We all were like,
driving
why
to
was Mel
another
not there?
location. I was driving to another location and I couldn't jump on. And also, I am the coworker that is very chipper and very like employee friendly, and I want to celebrate everybody. And if it's your birthday, like, yeah, I'm gonna make a big deal about it. And um, I don't mind virtual parties because I like my birthday celebrated. If I'm like at Roadhouse having dinner for my birthday and I'm being sang happy birthday, like I want everybody up in that bitch to sing happy birthday to me. So like I'm all for it. Like I'll come and stuff, but it did happen to me once. I wasn't able to log in and I felt so guilty. And I teamed the person that the birthday party was for. And I was like, I'm so sorry that I couldn't come. This is where I felt like I had to explain why I wasn't at their, virtual party. And I actually ended up sending them a box of crumble cookies because I felt so guilty.
But see, I don't mind birthday party invitations, physically or virtually. It's just when you get that invitation, and then before you even have a chance to open and read it, you get that follow-up ding. We need you all to ensure that you clear your calendar for this time for your participation. We need you all to be there. And we're like, then why does it say invitation? Because invitation means you can say no, or you can just ignore it. Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't see that email.
Well, I was notorious for declining emails or declining invitations.
Oh, yes, you were.
And there was always some goody two shoes that would go, I'll ping him, I'll text him, I'll call him. And I was like seriously, like I'm literally sitting at my desk. I declined it for a reason. Thanks for calling. And then it forces me to get on this Teams meeting, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. But
Damn it,
yeah.
Mel.
And then you're saying things like, I hope you have the birthday you deserve.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's it. That's it. I
Yeah.
hope you have the birthday you deserve.
I heard that on a call one time and I was like,
Yeah,
oh
no, that was so uncomfortable. That's an uncomfortable, like, okay, so when two people are like, that's another thing too, is sort of meeting etiquette, right? Two people clearly have a difference of opinion. You're like, you have to have like neutral virtual face, right? Because you're like, but deep down you are like, oh my God, oh my God. But the greatest thing, right, of course, is the skill that I've obtained of not moving my shoulders and being able to move my hands. I'm moving my hands right now, guys, and I am texting my buddies, "Hey, did you just hear what this guy said? Did you hear that shit?" And then, so that is the greatest thing that's ever happened in the, like,
I'm so
I've learned.
so glad you
can't
told
do
us you were
that.
texting. I'm so glad you were telling us you were texting. I was
Right.
I
I
can't
was
do that.
wondering
I
what
don't
you were
have
doing with your
poker
hands, and I didn't
face.
want to know for a minute there.
Well, hold on. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a spicy coin right there, buddy.
No, but that to me is one of the great things about technology. The problem is if you don't mute your phone and you hear the ding, 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 like you start to hear who's getting pinged, and you're like, oh shit.
You start to connect. You start to connect the beef and who's team who and who's team what.
Right.
I don't like that. I don't like that part of any job. It makes me uncomfortable. Listen,
Come on,
I
Jake.
am a firm believer that we can just all put a birthday face on and happy birthday to you, even though you may not be. I may hate you the least, but it's still your birthday, and somebody out there is glad that you were born today. So happy birthday to you.
Yeah. So I'm really glad you said about the texting, because that was the nuance. That's new.
Yes.
Before, it was sending the private messages within the meeting, and it really sucks when you forget to choose private chat and you send it to the whole group. This is
Do you have any
stupid.
experience with that there, Jake from HR?
I actually did that one time, but thankfully my comment was subjective. So I was like, wait, is that a compliment or an insult? It was subjective. I'm so happy, but I learned very quickly, stay out of that chat. Do it on your phone.
Yeah.
Always text. So if we ever want to talk smack while they're, and that's my favorite thing to do. And I know it sounds very petty and very childish, but if I want to go, did you really just hear what that said to me? And I'm like, I'm on my phone. I'm texting it's usually funny because I'm texting my boss, and my boss is behind me going, I cannot believe he just said that to you. I know. And it's just like it's like a to the races on texting. And then if I'm in a meeting with Jake from HR, me and Jake are going, did he really just say that to her? Oh no, he didn't. And it's like we're just texting back and forth, furiously texting. Thank God they can't see us, because at that moment you turn your camera off and you're like, oh, there's something wrong with my camera.
Oh,
Camera
I
goes
love
off.
there's something wrong with my camera.
A
Good old my camera's not working today.
And you're just working really hard to be like, what's he gonna say next? What's he gonna? Oh, he did. Oh, he didn't. Well, he just quit.
I don't have a good poker face, but I always find it very amusing when you're on any type of Zoom call or Teams call, and people have. I am a video person. Turn on your camera, right? Just and that'll take me to the serious part of why I like that. I like to see a person and be able to connect their face to their tone before I misread the message that's coming across. Ding, pro tip. Call a person when you're going to have a tough conversation. Don't have it over Teams. Anyway.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I it's amusing to me when we're on Teams and you see two people kind of laugh at the same time, and you're like, oh, they're pinging each other. Oh, you know what they're saying. They're pinging each other. I find it so amusing.
When you see their faces are interacting with each other.
Yeah, my face gives it away.
I love how you mentioned that you love to be on camera, because you have those organizations who track the amount of time that you spend on camera.
Is that real?
Yes,
that real?
It is real.
Stop.
Yes.
Microsoft not reactions. Microsoft Insights does and lets you know how long you're having meetings all day or all week or all month, and how many times you're on camera, and versus the time that you're actually not doing anything.
And then you get those messages from that leader saying, we really encourage you to use video more often. So it's like, oh okay. Absolutely. I didn't read that in my job description, but absolutely. Yes, I can kiss that booty. Yes.
Extra duties as assigned, my friend. Extra duties as assigned. Kissing that booty is the extra duty.
Yes.
Would you prefer to be camera off?
So it just depends on the meeting. I love to be on camera too when it's an engaging conversation.
Yes.
Or if you're presenting and you're trying to read the audience. But if you're having a massive team meeting, and there's not engagement, and it's just, hey team, I just wanted to spread out some gossip and what we're supposed to be working on this week that half of y'all aren't going to do. No.
Yeah.
Some
No,
guy.
I was
know.
I learned that the tracking thing like in real time in a meeting with someone who was really proficient, right, in like Teams and was giving us a lesson, right? They're like, "Oh, here's how you do this, here's how you do that. You can track this." And then all of a sudden I saw it like, wait, they know how much time I'm on camera, off camera, typing. Like there's like it's all there. And I saw it and I'm like, "Oh, well, I better brush up the resume."
Yeah, but
Because
like,
like because you say your camera's broke. Oh yeah, this camera's not working right now. It's stark. And then all of a sudden they're like, you turned off your camera. Oh shit. Gotcha.
Wait, you saw that? Damn.
Oops.
All right. I want to,
like what manager really has time to look at that though?
the ones who don't have enough on their plate.
Yeah.
Yes. Like
The insecure micromanagers out there that feel like they must control all.
The
Yeah, I mean,
manager.
the manager.
That just seems like a very poor choice of time usage.
But that is a great manager example because I would love to kind of segue that over to the next best
Ooh.
thing.
I
Next
knew you
best
were going to
thing.
use that word.
He loves the
Segue.
word segue.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you're on team meetings or any kind of virtual meeting as a team and your boss wants to call you out, hey, I'm still waiting on that email. Y'all were supposed to send it yesterday.
Oh my God.
Okay. So one, if the entire team didn't do it, I got you. Team, I gave y'all a project. I got 10% participation. I need it today. Why are we doing it when it's just one person or two people out of like 20? Why you gotta call people out? I saw a TikTok on this
Yeah.
where this girl did a whole show about it where she's like, no, I sent that to so-and-so Thursday. And she's like, oh, let's take this offline. And she's like, no,
Veronica?
you didn't
Was
call
it
me out
Veronica?
offline. Was it Veronica? I sent this to
Was that
Veronica. No,
Veronica?
let's talk about
Yeah.
why Veronica didn't do it. Like, but even though it's funny, it's true. There's been so many meetings where I've been called out and I'm like, no, I sent that to you. And they're like, oh, okay, well, I'll follow up to it after the call. I'm like, oh, no. We're already on the call. Let's go ahead and check your email.
Right.
I'd love to know why you didn't read my email.
Ooh,
Reverse
cringe
call
moment.
out.
Yeah,
Well,
you want to call me out? I'd love to know why you didn't read my email.
Right. And sometimes you get the Veronica, you don't want that smoke. Like if that person is prepared, right? Like they go, oh, you want to engage me? I got receipts, bitch. Here we go. I got to read receipt on 12 o'clock, and then you forwarded that, and I got copied on that. And guess what? It says here waiting on approval from VP. Oh, I'm not the VP. So yes, it hasn't been done, but not my fault, right? You don't want it. It's what I'm saying. Like it puts you in a defensive posture, like automatically when you call somebody out. It's one thing to like call out the team, right? If you're on a team and they didn't turn in the deliverable, sure. Hey, we're still waiting on a deliverable from the whatever support team. But we'll get to that. That's different because then you can hide behind human shields. But when you say, hey, Llama didn't turn this in, oh, you're going to get the fucking smoke. You're going to get it like quickly because again, now you're going to get the smoke either way because I've learned that confident answers will back people down. Pro tip, if you have not done the deliverable, as long as you're confident in your responses, most people will walk away. Pro tip.
I call it.
That's a 50-50 chance, y'all. Don't do that
Right.
unless you
Right.
really know.
Hold your shoulders back. It's like white chicks. Hold my poodle. Hold your shoulders back. I got confidence.
Exactly.
I would qualify calling someone out in a public platform as a very poor meeting etiquette.
For sure.
And it happens
Absolutely.
all the time. And then they are the first ones to call you out for not being professional. I'm like, didn't you just call out Jeffrey last week for not doing something? He was like the only one out of our team. Was that not professional? Like, okay, we can be the pot calling the kettle black. I don't mind.
So
What
let
else
me
is
flip.
poor meeting etiquette?
Well, I was going to ask. So as HR, how do we address it? Again, we're talking about scenarios that have happened to us, right? But what happens when the manager or the operations leader comes to you and is like, "Hey, I have this person showing poor attitude in the Teams meeting." Like,
So,
what do you
I
do?
mean, that is a very tough question. And there's no direct answer because you can only do what is appropriate for that person. So, my advice to anyone is don't react on the call. Don't be that Veronica. While we love Veronica on the inside, we don't want to be Veronica on the outside if you want to stay with that company. But I do
True.
recommend swinging back around at the end of that call and having another call with that person and just be real with them. Say, look, if I didn't do my job, I'll own it. Call me. Let's have a one-on-one. Let's have a discussion. But I don't appreciate being called out in a group setting as an individual. If it was me a part of a group, I get that. But as an individual, I need you to come at me as an individual because we praise in public and we reprimand in private.
Yep.
Which that's the basic protocol that any good manager, let me phrase it. I hate the word manager. I'll tell you why I hate the word manager. Leader. A good leader leads, shows, demonstrates, puts forward. That is the one that will be there saying, hey, let's talk when you get a minute, and then go through what's up versus, hey, Big Llama, why'd you do this? And like we're in a meeting of 10 people and it's like blasting Big Llama for something that I could have been like, hey, Big Llama, holler at me when you get a second. Okay, cool.
Right.
And then me and Big Llama, we talk. Hey, what's going on? Big Llama goes blah 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 blah, and it's dealt with. It's more of a, and it's also being. I like the word etiquette in this because it's true. It's etiquette. It's whether it's email etiquette or whether because you could do the same thing in an email. You can blast one person in an email of 60 people. I think we talked about that in the before. The more you know, that email of 60 something people. Same instance here. Take that stuff and put it on the back burner and talk to that person offline because a leader who cares about watching their people grow will do it individually and not. You could like I like the way you said it, Jake. Praise in a group and deal with things individually with the person that they have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So
So here's my question to y'all. If I'm the employee and I get called out in a group setting, my boss just, Jake from HR, why didn't you send this to me last week? How should an employee respond to that? If they don't want to turn that into a Veronica conversation. So I know how I would respond, but I'd love to hear y'all's responses.
I would respond very quickly by saying, hey, I know we don't have a lot of time. How about you two talk about that later, and so we can get through here because I got a meeting, I got a doctor's appointment.
No, you're the employee.
No,
You're the employee. You're the employee being called out. How do you respond?
Now, see, I was thinking about you being called. If you were being
No,
called
no.
out, I'm behind you to protect you, no matter whether I'm an employee or superior or whatever. I'd be there behind you. But
yeah,
Well,
if it was me,
you can take that conversation too, that angle or that approach that you just took, and say like, hey, I'd love to talk through that. I know that this might not be the appropriate platform for that, but if you want to connect right after this meeting, I've got some time, and we can chat through that. Redirect the focus to where it needs to go.
I love you.
Right.
You're
Use
like my
psychology.
mini me.
Use psychology to divert the problem to where it makes it seem like it was their idea.
But I love
but
the psychology piece.
it makes it uncomfortable for everybody else in that meeting too, right? So like
Yes.
we're talking about, it's poor meeting etiquette, but it's also unprofessionalism. And if it's coming from a leader, you don't want to display unprofessionalism in front of your subordinates. You are the leader. You are there to lead by example. And that we can call it poor meeting etiquette, but bottom line is that it's unprofessionalism. So
Yeah.
I participated in some review sessions some time back, and that conversation got very, very passionate. And I say that in a nicer way, but it got heated, right? And so we had to redirect that conversation entirely, allow that employee or that leader to cool off, Because at that point, it wasn't, let's talk, their performance through the year. It was, this is what the score is, and this is what it's going to be. And you're in a virtual room with their peers, with your peers, and it is incredibly uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for whoever's hosting the meeting. I'm sure it's uncomfortable for other leaders, and there are other leaders that may not be comfortable with confrontation. It just creates a very uncomfortable, hostile work environment for everybody on that call. And those
Mhm.
calls are not the platform for that. And
No.
as a leader, I feel like you should know that. And if you don't know that, reevaluate what you're doing in your leadership style.
So, y'all know I like to be sarcastic sometimes, just sometimes. So
A little bit.
my
But
recommendation, if
Mm.
you have that personality where you got to be a little bit cocky about it, do it in a way that can't come back at you. Because I love to respond to people with, "That is a great question. Give me a call afterwards. I'd love to discuss it with you."
I love that
yeah.
for you.
It's
I love
it's
that for you.
another way of saying I love that for you, but it's more professional. That is a great question, which is honestly sarcasm, but you're not saying it sarcastically. You're kind of giving them a compliment to the team, which is, that's a great question. Give me a call after the meeting and we can discuss those details.
Can I admit something? I've actually seen you in action do that in real life, in IRL, right? In real life. And when I tell you that because I got to know your tone, it was so like, oh shit, like that's the only thing you can think of, like, oh shit, oh my god. But you were so like, you had such, you put such a sweet tone on it. You were like, yeah, that's a great question, we should table that. And I'm like, oh no, he is on fire. Like, again, I sensed it. Like, I sensed the heat coming off of the screen. But you had put it in such a way that if they weren't in tune, they couldn't tell. But I was like, oh
Yep.
no, Jake.
Well, and they
Jake
can't
is
use
right
it
there.
against you. They can't come back later and sit
Yeah.
you in a meeting going, well, that was completely unprofessional for you to say that to me in front of the team. Where it's like you started it. Like,
Yeah.
instead of the back and forth, it allows you to address them more firmly, whether you're the subordinate or the leader, manager, if you're in that conversation, not leader.
Mm.
But it happens so much. And I can tell you, most people, they don't say anything back. But at the same time, we all have been around the block enough to know politics. You got to
Yeah.
know your leader, your manager, the person you're having the conversation with, the political power that they hold. Because while that situation may not get you fired or written up, anybody can find a reason to get rid of you or to hold you accountable if they watch you enough and they look hard enough. Is it right? Is it falling into like harassment, potential discrimination? There's a lot of things that can fall into, but if they want to find a reason, they will, which is why you have to know the person you're talking to, and you got to make sure you think twice, speak once.
Well, I want to segue it back to Mel, because Mel brought up meeting etiquette, and I cut her off, and I apologize.
Shame
But
on you.
no, shame on me. But I want to say this, like, to your point, Jake, is that the one thing that, as an HR professional or as a professional in general, if you're good at it, you know that you're always on. There is no element. Again, if you're good at this, there is no element of, I don't know when the right time is. You know that any time is, like, you are on stage, no matter what you do, whether you're in the break room enjoying a soda, whether you're in a meeting, a birthday meeting, whether you're having a conversation about project deadlines, you are always being judged. And as long as you know that, right? And it sucks. It sucks when you're in an environment like that, but that is most environments in corporate America, that someone is looking to evaluate you in some shape or form, whether it's budget cut time, whether it's promotion time, whether it's performance review. They're looking for an angle to get to their end game. And you may not even have done anything wrong, but, like, again, if you don't realize that you're always on and you always have to perform, and again, it's exhausting. That's why you should leave those types of environments. But again, if you have to deal with that, just know everybody's always looking at you, what your answers are, how you respond, what your facial expressions are you late to meetings, all that shit. It all adds up because somebody, this is the pro tip, somebody is always talking behind your back. Just know that. And somebody's always judging every action that you take. Now, what you do with that information is up to you, but that's how I would always say is like my mantra that I've always said is I would say to you what I would say to that person in their face. I don't like having at least when I know I'm being, evaluated, right, or looked at, I would say the thing I'm going to say to that, I would say to that person. So if we're in a meeting and I happen to provide feedback on somebody, I would have no problem to turn around and say that feedback to that person directly. So that's kind of because because then people have ammo on you, right? Oh, Llama said that your performance was below satisfactory, and you would use that. Now again, if you're not comfortable with that conversation, you're going to be blindsided, and that person can say, "Would you talk shit about me?" And for me, it's always, no, I did say that. I did say that your performance is below set, but that's what your numbers show, right? I again, always know that you're on. But anyway, I say that because we do provide some form of HR goodness here. But Mama Mel, you were talking about etiquette and the different things in terms of the meeting etiquettes. So what are some things?
So I talked a little bit about poor meeting etiquette, which actually takes me to the next question. Is eating on a camera acceptable?
I just did it.
Just depends.
No, we're all sitting here drinking our drinks.
Yes.
Water. I'm having water. Let me specify.
I got the Red Wing juice.
Soda. Yeah. So I think it depends, right? Doesn't it depend on the
did you have lunch? Or seriously, like if you've ever been in HR at any point in your career, unless you just have a plethora of money to have 10 people in the HR department, you don't have time. You have very little time. And it matters whether you're in learning and development in HR, whether you're employee relations in HR, or whether you're the HR manager. The time is very limited. And so I'll be damned if somebody's going to tell me that Chad Green cannot eat because I'm hungry and I'm trying to scarf whatever little food I can get. Now, that's the only reason why I'm having this virtual meeting is so that I can do that. Just saying.
But you would also eat the most outlandish shit, like crawfish
and you leave my crawfish alone.
Yeah,
you be laugh every time too.
You be eating stuff that's on Fear Factor.
Yeah, I mean okay. So there is eating during the meeting. Again, that happens. But then there's Dr. Green eating during the meeting, which is
that's grazing. That's not eating. That's grazing.
He's like he eats the most obnoxious things and then eats it the most obnoxious way. Like he's having ice. Oh my god, dude, you're having an ice cream pop or a popsicle, and you're like,
that was the longest. That was the longest running joke before you got there, though. Was it? One? It was. I had it. Okay, so when I first started at this organization, there was a chocolate popsicle. I said something. I was like, man, I really wish I could have a popsicle. And so one of my leaders, the amazing leader that she was like, well, go get one. And I was like, all right, cool. So I walked right out of my office. A few feet from me was the ice cream chest. And so I went and got me a chocolate pop. And I was like, heck yeah. And so I'm eating it on. And they're just all laughing, having a good time. I'm having a good time because I'm enjoying this chocolate pop. And so, like, every time after that, I had a chocolate pop in my hand. So that, like, every day or every other day, we had a big, massive meeting with HR. People expected that I had a chocolate pop in my hand. So that's what the running joke behind it was.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but yeah, that's it. No, I did not have caviar eating it out of a spoon going,
You would if you could, though. You would if you could.
I would probably eat sushi like that though. I would do that. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, sushi is not good to eat on camera. It is not a good first date
Depending on what sushi you get though.
idea. Hot,
slurping?
listen.
I like
You don't
sushi.
You're
slurp.
trying
What
to
is wrong
fit the
with you?
entire piece in your mouth.
That's why you get
It's
sushi
not a good
roll,
look.
not the sashimi with the rice
Oh,
on it. That's
the
So-
sashimi.
sushi rolls are thick.
I think the topic of eating on camera boils down to 3 buckets: culture,
Okay.
audience, and topic.
Yes.
But I also think it rolls back a little bit to what Big Llama was saying about you're always being watched and judged, whether it's actively being judged at that moment or something that's going to come back later on and bite you in the butt. Because if you're like, let's say you're an HR manager and you're gunning for an HR director or a VP of HR role, are they really going to give you subconsciously the same consideration and take you serious if you're always on camera shoving stuff in your face, having meetings with people? Like, is this the person I want talking to the other directors and other VPs? I'm not saying that's the case in every situation, but it's a good example of you got to think about not what's affecting you now, but what's going to affect you in the future when it comes to perceptions.
Okay. Now you're starting to sound like a person that we used to work for. Okay. Perception is not key for everything. It is also about having a good leader and having a good personality. 'Cause
Yes.
If I
Yes.
can't go to that person and understand, this is not every single time that we go and eat. There are times, like once a week, you have that person who is just on the camera eating that sandwich because that's the only meal they've had all day. It's the only moment they had to take a sip of water or whatever it is.
I feel
You
attacked
get
with the
my
sandwich line.
Actually, you're the reason why I thought about that too. But the whole point behind it is that also if people have perceptions, they need to dig a little deeper and go, why is this person only able to eat on camera?
Mhm.
Or
But-
only able to eat while in a meeting? Maybe not on camera. I wouldn't always say on camera. Like if I'm going to eat crawfish, yeah, there are times where if it's in front of you guys, it's a whole different story. If it's in front of my vice president and my director, you sure as heck think I will not be going.
Beating it with
crawfish,
a
y'all.
knife
I
and
have
a
no
fork.
suspicion. I got a suspicion there might have been a few situations like that.
There was a few situations where I did it in front of y'all. Just never did it in
Mhm.
front of my director or because of course there is meeting etiquette that I still have to know who I'm talking to, know my audience, like you said. You have to know. If you don't know, then you're setting yourself up for failure.
Have you guys
Just like-
ever heard the saying, we listen and we don't judge?
Oh, that's a TikTok, isn't it?
Have I read? I've seen that fairy tale before.
Let me tell you something. If you're eating on camera, I'm watching and I'm judging.
But why are you judging though? That's my question. Why are you judging, Mel?
Because I think it's poor meeting etiquette to eat on camera while you're on a meeting.
All right,
Well,
all right.
okay,
So
let me take it back. Let me take it back.
there you go.
We talked about it. It's not going to go back to where you think it's going to go. We talked earlier about knowing your audience and when to turn and turn off your camera, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
We have and I don't disagree. Our time is very limited, and I think all of us are, and everybody that listens to this podcast is going to relate to eating a sandwich at your desk, maybe accompanied by like a baby bell cheese or like a sparkling water or something.
She would be.
Regardless of what
Jesus.
your lunch selection is, we can all remember a time where we've had lunch at our desk. If I am on a meeting that does not require me to be on camera, my camera is off, and you better believe I'm scarfing down my lunch. If I have to be on camera, I'm going to suffer that 30-minute, 1-hour window until I can eat. I don't think it's appropriate to eat on camera unless you're having like a virtual party and it's like a virtual luncheon or something like that, then okay.
Birthday party.
Yeah. But it's just not appropriate to eat on camera. It's weird. I don't like to eat in front of people I don't know in person, let alone virtually. It's just weird. I
But that
like to
goes
Yeah.
back
enjoy
to
my
knowing your
food.
audience.
Hey,
Know your
Exactly.
audience.
I've had dinner with you. You're a beautiful eater.
And I've had dinner with Jake, and I've had dinner. No, I haven't had dinner with Big Llama, but it's like I have because we've done 1,000 things on virtually. That it's like I'm always sitting next to him anyways. So, and then like it is always like we're hanging out. So, but like you said, it's knowing your audience. But you definitely won't catch me eating my crawfish or in Jake from HR's stance, my most obnoxious caviar eating self in front of my vice president of HR or director of HR. I have a little bit of etiquette, but if it's you guys, you dang straight, I am gonna eat my damn crawfish and I'm gonna eat it with y'all right there, and y'all gonna be like, "How's that taste?" I'm like, "It tastes good. You want some?" No,
Yes,
that stuff stinks.
we all know that guy or that girl, right? That just has it's not no shame. They just who knows? They may just be starving or they could be me currently pregnant and eating every 2 hours because apparently I
And
don't
you're
feed this child enough.
silently judging like you weren't supposed to be. You never know who's pregnant.
You know, they say the smartest people
I'm a
have the
judge.
littlest couth.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
Oh, that's a good one. Again,
that's a good
T-shirt
one.
printed.
Jake
No,
from
I'm
HR.
serious. Like, think about the
For-
smartest people in the world. They like physically they look disorganized. They have stuff everywhere. They're all over the place. They have red hair sometimes.
Shut up. I feel attacked. It was so true. If you looked around this room upstairs, like it's not bad. It's just like my fridge is in the like my upstairs fridge is in the middle of the room right now because I
Their
was cleaning
priority,
and I stopped what I was
their
doing.
priority is on knowledge. Their priority is knowledge, not objects.
It's true.
So what
Can
you're
I tell you a
saying
real?
is not to judge people that are scarfing down rice-a-roni in the middle of a phone call.
Yeah, Jake judges.
Me and Mama Mel both judge, but we do it inside here.
That's good. That's good.
So what were you gonna say, Big Llama?
Well, I was gonna say I have a real life example of judging someone, right? In a meeting for their meeting etiquette, but like I can't remember the phrase. It was so eloquently put by Jake. Something about something couthness. I don't know. See, is this being recorded? We could play it back. No, but there was There's a gentleman. There's a gentleman I used to work with. That we went. There had the status meeting. It was called like an update status meeting, and all the heads of the 5 families showed up. Right. This was the big meeting where we are reporting the numbers and things to the main head of this department. And it was like, for me at the time, a lonely call center employee, was like, this is like the big meeting, right? And I go in there because I'm filling in for the supervisor. I'm supposed to report on my department's numbers. So this is the first time I'm in there. I'm dressed nice. I'm looking around. I got my numbers, got my papers, everything. I got my hands crossed. I'm ready to go. And I look in the corner of my eye, and there's this dude sitting at the end of the table. He is doing his checkbook. Like, he's got his checkbook out and he's updating his checkbook. He's on the phone in the middle of the meeting. On the phone. Oh, hey, where did we spend $50? Oh, yeah? Oh, okay. Just going to update that. I'm telling you, all these people are providing their update. This guy is at the end of the table. And in my head, I judge this guy. I go, he is not going to be prepared. He is not going to be prepared when they ask him the question. Not like me. And so here he is. He's still checkbook in hand, cell phone on his ear. And they go, hey, provide, MIS guy, provide your update. He looks up. He goes, yeah, the forecast is 3%. We're going to be doing this. So you're going to need this. You're going to need that. He rattles off the entire freaking week, number by number, minute by minute, and lays it all out. And then he just goes right back. He goes right back to his phone and he goes, yeah, so I was saying, I'm like, oh, this guy knows his worth. This guy knows his position. I go, I admire this guy and I want to be him. But that, to me, he had the worst meeting etiquette. But you know what? He was so valuable in that room no one was going to tell him different.
You can't
So
beat me, Kenny. Sorry, buddy. You can't beat
I'd be
me.
the one that I'd have 5 sheets of paper in front of me ready for any question. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's how I
Okay.
was. But he did not. I mean, and later on, I worked with him more as I went up the ranks in that department, and I realized that this guy really was a brilliant mind, but he did not give 2 shits about etiquette or anything. He did his job, and he was so valuable. He knew he was valuable. He's like, what are they gonna do? Fire me? Like he knew where he walked, and it was great. It was great. I aspire to be him.
Very
But there's a
disheveled.
difference,
Did he look disheveled?
No, he was actually in a fit, good-looking older dude. I
Okay.
was like, man, if I was, the other way, I'd like to, hang out with this guy. But yeah, I'm just saying, he was a good-looking guy. He's an older guy. He's well built. I'm like, man, this guy's got a total package here. I'm jealous.
Was he
I'm
single?
over here struggling.
Was
No,
he single?
He was married.
Jake from
I'm-
HR, you are
I'm
not
asking
allowed.
I'm asking for a friend in accounting.
That's what we always say. Asking for a friend in
That
accounting.
actually
Accounting.
brings up another good question for me: cell phone usage. We talked about eating. We've talked about camera usage. We've talked about muting and unmuting. Cell phone usage, and this one's specifically Llama. You've mastered being able to text and multitask brilliantly and beautifully. I aspire to be you when I grow up. But what about in-person meetings?
Ooh.
Do you bring your cell phone or do you not? Is that
Yes.
poor meeting etiquette?
I think it goes back to the 3 rules again.
Say it, Jake.
Well,
Say it. What are the
culture.
3 rules?
The culture, the audience, and the topic. There's some topic my company that I'm currently with has a very small HR team. So, today I was handling some things today that I literally put my cell phone down. Nothing was more important than what I was doing today. And then there's meetings where it's like, okay, we're right in the middle. It's like a mid importance, but I'm going to keep an eye on my phone. If I see a text come through and it's a 911, this is a situation where I can excuse myself. And this is the right audience where I'll have an HR business partner that's on the call that can take over for me. It really has to do with your company culture, the audience, and the topic that you're talking about on whether or not that's acceptable. And then of course we could kind of throw in that subcategory of your position. Because if you're an hourly employee, there's absolutely no excuse for you to be on your phone. If you're an employee, that's your only job is to focus on this meeting because you're going to take everything away and then go act on it. Where, you're managing 15 different projects, you have 19 different teams, you're basically running half the company. So you got to keep an eye on the phone because there might be something that's there's different levels of importance. So do I need to pause right now to handle something that's a little bit more aggressive or egregious? So there's just so many factors that answers that question. But I think it really boils down to the 3: culture, audience, topic.
No, that's
I
well
can
put.
see that. I can see that, but I'm gonna devil's advocate.
You're always the devil's advocate.
I have to be the voice of reason.
That's
here.
okay.
Diablo.
Look, I'm gonna put down my phone for this meeting.
I appreciate that.
Are you gonna call it and listen to it from another part of the room?
Yeah. I will tell. Look, I want to squirrel for a moment, and I want to say something. And I don't know if y'all have ever caught me doing this before. Have y'all ever seen me in a meeting like this before?
Yes.
A lot of times, I'm having conversations.
You're
on
having
the
another
phone
conversation. Yes.
during the meeting.
Because I see your face. Look at your face. His face goes from here from
It's like my eyes are engaged in the meeting, but I'm having a full-fledged conversation that has nothing to do with this call.
It's crazy.
You're pretty good at it, man.
Don't let him fool you. His eyebrows go up and down every once in a while. I'm just like,
Yeah.
It must be a good conversation because it ain't over here.
No. There was a call I was on, and it was a really important call. I'm the one that's supposed to be going back and forth in the presentation. So the other person's talking. My son's blowing up my phone. So I answer while the other person's talking. I'm like, is this important?
That's pretty good.
Like, because like he blowing my phone up. I want to make sure no one's dying, or if he just forgot his lunch money.
Yeah, he's like, Dad, can you bring me Chick-fil-A?
Like,
Tell him to go be the bully. He'll get his lunch money back.
it's another topic: workplace bullying.
Bring me Chick-fil-A.
Yes. We're going to talk about that one at some point. Yes. Not Chick-fil-A. Anyway.
So
Mel.
I had a very wonderful opportunity at some point in my career to, and maybe it wasn't direct advancement, but it was an amazing opportunity to present in front of COO, CEO, C-suite level executives, right? And it's an opportunity that didn't come, very often in the position that I was in. And I prepared for weeks for this presentation, and I was so nervous about it. And when the time finally came, it was an in-person presentation. And so, I launched into my presentation, and you all know this, right? Like, I'm very passionate when I talk about things that are important to me. And I was going off, on my spiel of presenting and talking through our numbers and, talking about our culture. And one of the C-suite execs was on their cell phone the entire time.
Ooh.
And it
Ooh.
was like a kick in the gut. Like, I prepared so much for this, and you could not give me 10 minutes of your time.
Right.
Like, what a disappointment. And that's where I look at it from. Like, when I think about, and that experience was a learning experience for me on both sides. And whenever I go to in-person meetings, I make it a point to give you, whoever you are, my undivided attention, because I don't know how long you prepped for whatever it is that you're going to present, even if it's, I don't know, our janitorial staff talking through the inventory of toilet paper rolls that we have, like, whatever it is, I'm going to give you my undivided attention. I don't know if you're good at public speaking. I don't know if this is a big challenge for you. Like, that's kind of what I meant with, like, all right, I'm going to devil's advocate it here because of that experience. Like, never again, have my full attention. I am not bringing a cell phone to the meeting unless, kind of like going back to Jake, what you said, those 3 categories. If I know that I can have it and I'm not tempted to look at it, I'm bringing it, or it's going in my pocket. But if people are presenting, I am paying attention. I am engaged. I am asking questions because they put that time and effort into whatever it is they're presenting, right? Again, it could be the most minute thing, but you're getting my attention. And that just came from that one experience that I will never forget.
But I want to add, the people they surround themselves with, if that's happening, those are not the right people. Because,
Right.
and once again, you got to know your leadership team, because if I was sitting in a room with my current boss right now and they were doing that, I would feel comfortable enough to go up to my boss after that meeting and go, hey, look, boss, just a heads up. If I was that employee, I would have been offended that you were on your phone, because I know that was not a 911 call. So that could have waited. And I just wanted to give you that feedback, because that's the perception they took from you. So God knows what they're going to go tell all the other employees about you. Oh, I had this huge presentation and they, that person just ignored me the whole time. I would give my boss that feedback, and I know that they would be grateful for it. Where in other positions, if I would have done that with my supervisor, they would have probably eventually found a way to get rid of me, because they're like, I don't like this person. It's like, but great leaders that, they're human. We all have done it where we had an action where we were on our phone at the wrong time or we weren't paying attention. And I'm sure at one of those moments after it was over, you're like, oh, wow, I should have paid more attention. They probably thought I was being rude, because if it really is a 911, you need to say, you know what? I just want to pause for a moment. Let's take a 15-minute break. I got to deal with something, and I want you to have my full attention. There's nothing wrong with doing that. There's not one meeting that can't be paused for 5, 10, 15 minutes for you to go deal with an emergency and then come back and give that person your full attention. And they will respect you so much more by saying, I don't want to be rude, but I want to pause because I want you to have my full attention, but I do need to take care of this real quick.
Nothing wrong with that.
respect. That's respect.
Yep.
1000% respect. Now, if they can't respect you as a person who is trying to give out information on a call that this person has to be on, they don't even need to be in the meeting. If they can't respect the time that you put, and Mel, I do want to tell you, I'm sorry that it happened to you, because I guess for me as a human being and being in HR for as long as I've been in, if I would have seen it, I would have been like, hey, Mel, please hold on one second. Hey, George, do you mind taking that offline? And I don't care what position I would have been in, because you were deliberately rude and
Mhm.
Yep.
socially unacceptable, that I needed to call you out because you were on the phone while you were on a camera and deliberately ignoring the person who's trying to feed you information that you had to be on this call for a reason to be for. So I need you to get out or pay attention. And I had a CEO who did that one time. His COO was not paying attention, was not doing what he was supposed to do. And he said, do you have somewhere else important to be? You don't?
Oh,
Okay, get off your phone. And like he
Right.
treated, and that was just for a secretary to represent something. That was it. So it didn't matter.
Mhm.
Like we had that. It goes back to like what we talked about earlier. Etiquette. Etiquette is so
Etiquette, yep.
important.
So
And
Yeah.
important.
so, but
Right.
can I?
For our listeners, if you're in a C-suite, by all means, you call out that executive
That's
Yeah.
in a
right.
meeting. If you're an HR business partner, don't call out that executive in a meeting.
You shut your mouth.
Do it after the meeting. Do it after the meeting.
Yeah, and you have to
Right,
do it
right.
in a roundabout way.
Right. Be like, hey
Call
man,
it
did you hear everything
like
that was going on in that meeting? No. Maybe you should put your phone down next time.
No, no,
Don't do
no.
that. Don't do that either.
But
But-
can I say this? Like, there's two things that I've done. One, and this sounds like a joke, but I set expectations. So like most of the time, I love one of the things that I miss about the HR role that I don't do as often is the training part. Absolutely love training people. I love meeting with people and showing them new techniques and stuff because I love sharing knowledge. But one of the things I do at the beginning of any class, if I'm in person, is that I give them a disclaimer. I say, please put your cell phones away. I'll put my cell phone away. I said the only exception, and this I say this all the time. The only exception is if Mama Llama calls me, I am going to pick up that phone because she knows I'm in a meeting, and she knows because But I say,
yeah.
if she's calling me, I'm going to answer and make sure that everything's okay, and then I'm going to come right back to you. I said this is the only exception, but I make sure, right, that I have all things in place. But yeah, if that phone rings and it's my wife, I'm picking it up. But again, I've set that expectation. But the one thing that it's disappointing, it's satisfying but disappointing at the same time, is I created this training which had some of the stuff that all of you guys are talking about in one shape or form. But the aha moment, right? The light bulb moment, which it shouldn't be when I talk to leaders, is I say, can you, for just a moment, put your phone down and lock eyes or just like look at the person who's talking to you? So if someone comes to you, to your office, how do you feel, right, when they are on their phone and like clicking away at an email while you're exposing your soul or telling them about a problem or whatever? I said
Mhm.
they feel like nothing. They feel worthless. I said all it takes is for you to put your phone down, look them in the eye, and said, "Your time is important. This is important to you." And one of my things is it's important to you. It's important to me. That moment, they're like, "Oh my god." Like, that's crazy. I'm like, that shouldn't be revolutionary thinking, guy. Like, it should just be common sense that you're having a conversation. Somebody's coming to you. You stop what you're doing. And if you can't at that moment, you tell them. Say, hey, look, this is not a good time. Can we schedule something when we have availability? But if you go and engage, and I tell them, if you do the engagement, you go, hey, how are you? And you start that conversation, they are the only person in that room right now. And again, it's so embarrassing that when I say that, leaders are like, "Wow, that's crazy. That's amazing." Like, you should know that. But again, I'm glad that I gave that epiphany, that moment. But it's so infuriating because like you should be respectful of other people. That's my 2
Yeah,
cents.
it's just common decency. I mean, paying attention to someone that's talking to you, not just in the HR world, but especially in the HR world, is one of like the key fundamental concept or aspects of our job. You're bringing the human into human resources, and if you can't give me the human decency to connect with me as I'm telling you, I mean, listen, in HR we talk to so many employees, and sometimes we take the burden of everything that they're like, the emotional burden of everything they just unloaded on us. Like,
Yep.
we take that, and what do, right? Which will be another episode, who's HR for HR. But it's one of the fundamental key concepts or aspects of human resources. But it's just human decency.
Yeah. I do want to add something real quick though, because not all of us can be that buff guy in the conference room that remembers everything.
Right.
And I'll admit, when I
Oh,
first got into HR, I was guilty of doing this. Because if you're in HR, you take notes. So while making eye contact is important, you take notes. And I know at the beginning of my career in HR, for the longest time, I forgot to tell the person that's talking to me, hey, I'm listening, but if I happen to look away, I'm taking some notes so that I can have some information to like refer back to when you leave. I wasn't doing that until I had someone sit in the room with me one day, and they're like, you didn't say anything about you taking notes. So do they know you were taking notes? And I'm like, oh crap, I thought it was self-explanatory.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a very good point, because some people just want to vent and they don't want anything taken down, or they do and they're just expecting you to remember everything or however it is. And then my favorite ones are the ones who want you to record everything. Oh yeah, I want you to record what I'm saying, and I'm going, no, not going to do that, buddy.
It's a
Sorry.
no-go.
If you want me to have something from your lips to paper, email it to me. That's what I'm on.
No, never say no. I've had so many people walk in my office and they're like, I'm gonna record this conversation. I don't say no. I say, well, before we get to that
Not
point.
that. I meant like if they were like, hey, I want you to record this, and I go, I'm not going to record it. Tell me why. But at the same time, I say, and I give them another option. I segue, as your favorite word is, I like to segue them to another option and say, hey, you know what best would be? The best thing to do is to take emotion out of it and put it in an email, because emails are meant to be emotionless. Unless you say, I hate you, Jake from HR, you're a piece of crap. There's no way to take emotion. And people who have and this goes back to emotional intelligence. Here's the doctorate degree. Here it comes. The emotional intelligence that you're supposed to have in HR is supposed to be high, because when you're reading emails, you're not to read out of context. You're to read word for word only, unless they put the physical emotion in there. Mel, I think you smell.
Angry.
Or Mel, you make me mad. What's that line from the Little Rascals?
Scum between my toes.
Your scum between my toes. I hate your guts. Like also, like you can't put emotion in email, so you have to read it for what it is. That's the reason why I always say, shoot that to me in an email, because I don't want to. Because when I hear that voice, I'm gonna, in my training and in y'all's training, you're gonna hear the influx. You're gonna hear the anger in the voice. You're gonna hear the sadness and upsetness and blah blah. Whereas an email can be more straightforward and to the point without the extra emotions. That's just me.
It's a good segue.
I have a whole topic on emotions.
Oh my God!
We should do an emotions of HR.
Yes, that'll be next week. Emotions of HR.
But you know what? Put it down, Dr. Green. Put it down on tab 5. Emotions. Actually, a good segue. We talk about emails. When should they become calls? Right, those long email threads.
Okay. So I want to strangle people. I put in the notes. Violence. I put forwarding emails makes you want to punch somebody in the throat. Okay. You've all had it. You get a ding and you open up an email and it's like 22 threads. And you were forwarded that message. No context. So you're like, oh God. Okay, hold on.
The mailman.
Let me go close my sign on my HR door so I can take 22 minutes out of my day to read this huge chain to figure out what part do I play in this.
The part that I get mad about is when they put thoughts. Like it's a one word for the 22 emails that, hey, instead of saying, hey, this is what's going on, it's thoughts.
Yep. And then they're increasing liability when they start forwarding it to more people. Like, just pick the phone up and say, hey, Jake from HR, I want to run this past you over the phone and see what your thoughts are. Or, hey, Big Mama, I want to get your thoughts on this topic. Why do you need to forward it in an email when you could just, you're going to take 22 minutes out of my day? Because I have really bad adult ADD. So I got to read it like 5 times to make sure I comprehended it right. When you could just call me and ask me the question so that I can turn around and give you the rhetorical answer that you already have, but you just wanted me to make you feel better.
I love that you said rhetorical.
Yeah, I know.
It's so true.
Oh my Lord.
I would say after 3 email threads, it's time to get on a call.
Yes.
Yeah.
3. I
And
was like 2 email threads. Call me.
Well, y'all remember when we were all at one organization or different organizations or whatever you want to call them, we all knew that there was a time when it was like, yo, okay, you're not getting what I'm putting down.
Oh yeah.
So let's pick up the phone and let's talk like adults, because apparently you want to avoid it, but I'm not doing that. So you pick up the phone. And if you've ever learned in HR, sometimes written things are not always the best thing. Sometimes it's better to say, hey, dum-dum, don't do that. That's stupid. Please don't do that. And then they go, oh, are you sure? Yes, I'm really sure that you should not punch Big Llama in the face. He may tear your butt up. And then you're like, okay, all right, thanks. All right, great. When it was common sense not to punch the Big Llama in the face.
Exactly. What does llamas ever do to you?
Llamas ever do? They spit at you. I get it, but calm down.
Yeah, I know.
But so let's turn this around. When should you pick up the phone that makes it an HR nightmare?
I don't
When
like
you
that.
want to run something past HR, I'm just going to tell everybody that's listening, and I want you to go back, and if you're going to gossip about anything this week, I want you to spread this gossip. If you have a question for HR, call them. Don't Teams them. Don't email them. Don't
Yes.
text them. Don't do anything that can be tracked or traced, because
Right.
Great point.
not just looking at the fact that it could physically be something that could be used against the company or yourself. It could be something taken out of context that could be used against the company or yourself. So if you have a question, call someone. Don't forward it. I know it makes us feel better to put things in writing, but that's where you can just go back and send that recap email. If you really got to have it in an email, send the recap after you've done verification, because I cringe. When I get emails sometimes, I cringe. I can't tell you the number of times. It wasn't with my current job, but I got an email one time that says, well, I don't think we should hire this person. I think they're too old.
Ooh. Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Call for that one.
I'm like, first of all, I picked up the phone and I called the manager and I'm like, okay, what's going on? What do you mean they're too old? Like, I need more context. Well, they don't know how to use the technology. I'm like, okay, so it doesn't have anything to do with their age. It's their inability to function with the equipment. That has nothing to do with their age. I know 90-year-old people that know how to use equipment better than I do.
Dang right.
It has nothing to do with age. But they took their thoughts and put it on paper. I'm like, you do know that's illegal. We can't not hire them because they're older, but if they don't know how to functionally use the equipment, that's logic. That has nothing to do with their age, because I know 18-year-olds that can't even use a pencil.
It's true.
That's just sad. But I agree. I think the worst one though is the ones who, and I know we kind of mentioned, we tiptoed around it a little bit in future or past episodes, but we talked about recording. You always have that one person who wants to record the conversation with you on the phone so that they can use it to whatever advantage they want to use it. But just remember, just as bad as you want to record that conversation, number one, other people don't know that person's true radio voice. 2, other people can take what you say out of context. So it can always go and fire in so many different directions. It's just wise to not try to stoop to that level because it's going to end badly for not just that HR person. It could definitely end up bad for you because there's also policies that a lot of organizations have in place. Do not record. We don't care whether the law says you can. We have a
Right.
policy against it and it is a fireable offense. And in Louisiana, that's where I'm telling y'all from. In Louisiana, it's a one-party no. Only one person, and it could be the person recording that has to know. But a lot of organizations in Louisiana have a no recording policy. And if you do, you could be fired for it. And so you can make it stricter. You just can't make it looser.
Well, if they end up quitting or getting fired at that point, I don't think they care about being let go. So
That's
a
true.
reminder to everybody that works in HR, it is okay to say, you know what? I'm not comfortable talking to you being recorded, so we're going to bring this conversation to an end. I have done that so many times where people run into my office and be like, I'm recording this conversation. And I'm like, and I love that for you, but I'm not going to talk to you. So have a great day.
I love that for
I
you.
love that for you. That's a good one.
I want to give a closing comment about calling people.
Okay.
Oh God.
Before you call, let them know you're calling. If you randomly call me on any type of device, I'm not going to answer you until you tell me what you're calling about.
That's why she doesn't answer my call
Hey,
anymore.
do you have a quick minute for this? I want to talk with, I want to talk this with you. I want to talk through this with you. Sure, call me. But there's always that one employee who just Zooms you or Teams calls you and doesn't tell you why they're calling. You're like, oh,
That's weird.
I'm going to conveniently walk away from I wasn't here. Sorry.
Leave a message.
Give me a heads up. Give me a heads up that you're calling. You want to just randomly call.
Or let you know at least the importance of it, right? Just hey, this is not mission critical. Like, can you have a few minutes do
you have a few minutes? Beautiful.
I think I used to say that to you all the time. It was like, hey, when you get a chance, give me a call. It's not a big deal, right? So I always made sure that expectation was laid out because I hated from my boss to get the let's meet later or can we meet? I'm like, oh,
can you talk?
What did I do wrong?
Can you talk from your boss? He's like, okay, I'll pack up my shit right now and I'll go.
That's a podcast on its own right there.
Right. Can you talk?
Can we talk?
Hey, you got a minute to talk? And I'm like, shit, what did I do?
A few minutes? Shit.
You start rolling back in your head every little thing that you might have possibly done. And then when you get on the call, it's nothing to do with it. And
It's so stupid.
Yeah, I'm on the verge of tears.
Well, Mama Mel, I have a quote real quick on your message board. It's text me, Teams me if you want to reach me.
Oh, I love that.
You are so Kim Possible.
Damn.
I wasn't saying what cartoon that was from. I'm showing my age on that one.
Yes, you were.
You're
yeah,
young.
you were.
It's young.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That was
Boy
If
Meets
it's
World.
not on the AM radio, like Dr. Green quoted 2 times last week, you're fine.
Hey. If there are any fans on the podcast of Boy Meets World, Danielle Official,
come on now.
I still got a thing for you.
Hold on. Segue Boy Meets World. I just want to know if you remember the episode, the scary one, and then there was Sean.
Oh, was it the one where like the Halloween episode where he was
the
running
one they're
around?
stuck in school.
That scared the crap out of me when I was
I
a
got
kid.
goosebumps.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
Woo, mate.
Listen,
Y'all know what
Mama,
we're talking about?
Watch that episode.
We need a Boy Meets World episode. Is that what you're saying?
That's the one. That's the one that you need.
I really didn't care for the show, so.
You, sir. There's a special place in HR jail for you.
But I could, I didn't like the show much, but I could be BFFs with Topanga. Okay.
Topanga seemed like the girl that would be so weird in the beginning, but blossomed, as you can see in the show. She goes extremely weird, putting, lipstick on her head, around her face in the very beginning, and then became like this beautiful swan at the end. And you're like, every guy who watched Boy Meets World
Had a
was
crush
like,
on Topanga.
I want Topanga.
Mhm.
Topanga was my girl. And when I was a kid, Topanga was my girl. And I was all about that life. And which I will give myself a little bit of kudos on this. About 4 or 5 years ago, I had a moment to what do you call that? Tweet Danielle
Mhm.
Fishel. And
Oh,
I said,
I love you.
the moment I will ever get to say hello to Danielle Fishel. And she responded back with, hey. And I'm like,
I bet you
Oh,
lost
like
your
nerd
marbles.
moment, but it was so cool. Oh, I was so happy. I was like,
Put that
oh,
on your
I got my
resume.
2 minutes of hello.
d- listen,
I
you,
don't
you
think
want to
they'll
hear
hire me in HR for that.
a weird Twitter experience, and this is weird because not that I had a crush on Gloria Stefan back in the day. I
Oh,
may or
come
may
on,
not
rep
have,
her.
Woo!
right? But I tweeted something and she tweeted me back directly, and then she retweeted something, and like I have a little thread with her. Now, mind you, at the time she's 60, almost 70, right? Like right now, and recently. So I'm like picturing Gloria Stefan in 1985 tweeting me back. But when I
Mhm.
saw her in a movie, I'm like, oh shit, she's really like an older person now. I'm like, oh God, do I still like this person? Would
All you
I?
gotta do is,
Yes, I would. I would
you gotta
totally.
just close your
But
eyes. Just close your eyes.
I'm just saying, that was like me losing my mind. I was like, oh my God, Gloria Stefan. But yeah, she did call me llama. So
I love
there you
that.
go.
I love that for you.
Well, I just
Yes.
feel bad that she didn't call you Big Llama.
No, she doesn't know yet.
You're
Aw.
still married.
Poor meeting etiquette.
That's
Poor meeting
Meeting
etiquette.
etiquette.
yes,
Yes, I just
poor
ruined it.
meeting etiquette.
I
Ah,
just
shame. But
all right. So
I
I
so
know
reel
let's
this shit back in.
let's reel this in and let's wrap it up. So Mama Mel had her parting shot. We'll go around the horn. We'll go to Dr. Green just down there. What little bit of wisdom do you want to dispense before we close out today's show?
do not be the person that is trying to play like you were in a meeting while driving. Do not put yourself a little background. The seatbelt still shows through. Please do not do that. I had to fire someone one time because they had their seatbelt showing through while they were driving and trying to be in a meeting and say, oh, no, I'm here. I'm here. And I'm like, yeah, I know you're here, but you're supposed to be training. And she was driving to her next job while she was in this team meetings and trying to perform 2 jobs at the same time. So I'm like, number one, extremely unsafe. Please, for the love of God, just turn the camera off, okay? If you're going to be any type of wisdom that I can give you, turn your camera off, okay? If you're not cool like me and Jake and Mel and Big Llama, turn your camera off. You're not cool like we are.
We're
Okay,
not
we
that
can get away
cool.
with it. Yeah, we're not that cool. But
And
you
that's
get
the
my
rest of
point.
the story.
But yes, be careful, please, while you're out there driving. Please make sure that you're not on camera. Make sure you're paying attention to the road, but also if you're going to pay attention to the meetings, we have a lot of us who do that. We do a lot. We travel through different sites. So please be careful and imparting wisdom, do the right thing, even when nobody's looking.
There
Mhm.
you go. All right, Jake from HR, your parting shot before we close this down.
I would say in the professional environments, most of the time when it's physical atmospheres, you always hear this saying that, you're always as good as your last win or your last success at work. That's what you're known for. Whether you failed or you're successful, that's the last part they remember about you. With us getting more tangible in the hybrid and virtual environment, take that same concept and apply it to the Teams meeting, the Zooms meeting, the digital meetings, the FaceTimes. You're only as professional as your last call, because you never know when the next promotion is going to come up or the next evaluation or the next investigation. So always conduct yourself accordingly to the best of your abilities on these calls. always match the 3. Know your culture, know your audience, know your topic, because the way I am on like the call with y'all guys, I would never act like this at work. So know your audience.
Excellent. And I'll just say, like I said, I think the thing about meeting etiquette is, one, giving the respect to the others that are attending the meeting, and the reasons that they're there. Again, some people are scared to be in these meetings. It just depends. And when they have to present, like Mel had sort of laid out, it's a pretty big deal to a lot of us where we have to present things and put things together. So if you are a leader, or in a leadership position or a high level executive, give the presenter that moment, give them that time, and engage, because otherwise what you get next time that they present is really an inferior product, right? We will do everything in our power to give you the best of what we got to make it look really great, because we want to look great. But if you keep giving them that type of reaction, you're going to get less work, or you're going to get work that is substandard. And then eventually they're going to stop giving a crap about anything, and then they'll find another place to be. So it's very, very important just engaging those folks and just giving them the proper respect. And that's the key to all of this is respect your folks. This has been an interesting and fun episode about meeting etiquette. As we're wrapping up, a couple of things, right? Please make sure you guys, if you listen to this podcast and you like what you hear, share it with your friends, your colleagues, your HR coworkers. Hopefully you're learning some stuff, you're having some fun, you're engaging. And while we have a ton of topics, like we said, if we get some emails or some comments on the different podcasts about scenarios, we'd love to do scenarios for you guys. That way it's a little bit more engaging from time to time. So please make sure you do that. On behalf of Mama Mel, Jake from HR, and Dr. Green, I am the Big Llama. This is the Just for Friends Trying to Figure Out HR podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. Parting shot, Jake from HR. Well, close this out.
So until we call you into the office next time, remember, hate has no home here.
Absolutely love that. And go tell your boss I said hi.
Oh, yeah.
Tell your mama said hi too.
Well, that's another episode of the 4 Friends Trying to Figure Out HR. We didn't solve anything, but hey, at least we tried.
And by tried, we mean we laughed, we overshared, and we probably violated some HR guidelines ourselves.
But remember, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Don't take our advice. Seriously, don't.
And if your HR manager asks, you've never heard of us or this podcast.
Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and join us the next time as we keep trying to figure out HR and fail spectacularly.
Now, go be productive, or at least pretend to be.
And tell your boss that I said hi.
Tell your mom I said hello.
Tell your daddy I said hey.
And remember, hate has no home here.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week again for a fresh round.